I want to have trial attorney Mercedes Colwin back with us right now. Mercedes, when a Supreme Court decides to send it back, they're in essence remanding the case. Does that mean the clock starts over?
That's a great question. And it might, Adrian. It really will come down to whether Jack Smith, and he has a very short window to do so if he wants to do it before Election Day. You've got 88 days to give the defense, Donald Trump and his defense team, to amass their defense under the prosecution, under those claims that Jack Smith are prosecuting. So he would have to go and retool the indictment, because in the indictment might be too broad. He's going to have to really dig deep into what he believes were the non-official acts, because it said very clearly by the majority opinion written by Justice Roberts, it says very clearly that his unofficial rights, unofficial acts as president are not subject to immunity whatsoever. So Jack Smith has to go back to that indictment, take a look at where he can parse out all the unofficial acts and prosecute Donald Trump under those unofficial acts, including the ones we mentioned before earlier, when he had conversations with his legal team to file the cases around the country objecting to the election on the basis of fraud, which, as you know, they've been dismissed universally across the nation. None of those cases exist, at least the ones that he brought might be in the appellate courts right now, but at the trial level, they were dismissed. There was no fraud. Well, that's the type of actions that Jack Smith has to focus in on.
Okay, so two questions. One is, when it's sent back, does that reverse the decision so that the states now have to, again, have a prosecution prove beyond a reasonable doubt that those acts were indeed unofficial?
So it will go back to the lower courts to look at whether the indictment has any relevancy, because the indictment might be thrown out based on this new decision, which means that Jack Smith has to then retool the indictment to really mirror what the Supreme Court has ruled as being that you could prosecute under. Those are the unofficial acts as president. So it might come back. There will probably be another motion to dismiss the indictment on the basis of this case. And then that's when Jack Smith has to then refigure what he's going to prosecute, what acts is he going to prosecute, and whether he has enough time to do so before the election.
Okay, and so you just answered my question about, do you think it's going to happen before November? We just received a statement from a senior Biden campaign advisor on this decision, and they said, quote, "Today's ruling doesn't change the facts." So let's be very clear about what happened on January 6th. He says Donald Trump snapped after he lost the 2020 election and encouraged a mob to overthrow the results of a free and fair election. This has been an emotional trial, but take all of the emotion out of it, Mercedes. From a legal standpoint, when the Supreme Court decides to send a decision like this back to the lower court, what is their opinion behind the ruling?
Well, the opinion is the controlling law as it stands today, and which means that the lower courts have to abide by the decision by SCOTUS that says that if it's official acts, the sitting president will not be subject to criminal prosecution if they're official acts. But if they're unofficial acts, there will be prosecution. So really going back to January 6th, you have two lenses here. The lens under Donald Trump and his team, they're saying all he was doing, Donald Trump was doing as he was still a sitting president, January 6th is not January 20th, when then President Biden came into office. We're talking about January 6th. He's still a sitting president. And when he's objecting to the election and he's making statements, pronouncements that the election was subject to fraud, was he doing that in his official capacity? Was he actually engaged in official duties? Those are the two key questions, because what he did in January 6th, he's still a sitting president, but whether those acts could be considered official duties. And we know what Jack Smith and the prosecution saying. It wasn't official duty because Donald Trump knew that there was no fraud in the election process. And if you look at all the challenges he did across the nation, that there was no one substantiated no court held in his favor that there was actually election fraud.
Well, now Jack Smith has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that those actions were indeed not official business.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.